This book was written by one of the most impactful streamers of all time. Ninja at his prime was massive, breaking all-time viewer records on Twitch, collabing with Drake, and writing Get Good, My Ultimate Guide to Gaming. But little is actually known about this book. I found some reviews online, but most of them are jokes just like this one. My grandson Bryson asked for this book for his 9th birthday. He was very glad and gave me a hug. I love you, Bryson. Please come back home. Your mother is worried. From Bookman. Even Pyrocynical's review of this book, with 7 million views, is mostly sarcastic and dunking on Ninja, because that was our humor in 2020. But I think this book, written by one of the most influential gamers of all times, deserves a fair chance. So why not hear it from the man himself? This is the first page. Thanks, Ninja. Ninja says, unlike games, you only get one chance when it comes to books. So I've tried to make the wisdom in here as timeless as possible. Well, today, Tyler, we will be testing exactly that. Does your advice stand 5 years from when you wrote it? Let's go. Mr. Blevins actually dedicated a whole section to going for the wired mouse. He says, not only are they cheaper, but wired mice have better in-game performance as well. Well, it's actually quite outdated now, Mr. Ninja. Most pros use wireless mice nowadays. I'm not a pro or anything, but I do have like 2 Lamzu wireless mice, and those are my daily drivers. And with the introduction of things like the 8K polling rate dongle, mice have come really far. But the next section of the book was a little bit more confusing to me. Ninja talks about selecting the right size for mouse pads, and there's a little diagram here that shows small mouse pad for MOBAs, medium mouse pad for MOBAs, like League of Legends, large mouse pad for shooters, and a desk mat for all games. Now, I don't really get this one too much, but if we want to talk about mouse pad size, I decided to make a mouse bed. It's definitely cool to see how far peripherals have evolved since this book, because he talks about settling on a hard or a soft pad, but now we got everything from glass pads, artisan pads where you can choose the different hardnesses and the speeds you want. It just goes to show how innovative that peripherals have gotten. Still, Ninja's advice was actually going pretty good until I got to this page. For most users, 8 GB is all the RAM you'll ever need. Getting more RAM does not necessarily mean better performance. Like, yeah, a bit more RAM doesn't really mean better performance, but seriously, 8 GB of RAM? I have no idea if that can even run Fortnite now. Actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna try running Fortnite on my PC right now. Here are the specs. It's actually pretty good, but this is what it looks like with 8 GB of RAM. All right, I figured out how to set my computer to only use 8 gigs of RAM. I know it's not 8, but like, I set the limit. Wait, it's still really smooth. I'm getting like 300 FPS with like a little bit of frame drop. Like, I'm sure if I opened a recording like software, it would lag a lot more, but it's like not bad. Ninja was right, 8 is enough. Seriously. Now, no gear section is complete without talking about your gaming chair, which is exactly what Ninja does, but he does a little bit more than that. He talks about everything from monitor height, monitor distance, desk height, and chair height. Ninja has a couple rules for his monitor. Your eye level should be roughly equal height with the upper part of it. Your monitor itself should be slightly tilted back and away from you, and you should sit 1 arm's length away from your monitor. He also talks about desk height and chair height, which I haven't even thought about since I said it years ago. For your desk, he recommends that the height be high enough that you can fit your knees under it, but low enough that your arms are parallel to the ground. And for your chair, your hips and knees need to be even and feet flat on the floor. I instantly felt a difference in comfort once I set everything, and you know, it made me rethink some of my old sitting habits. You guys might not feel it now because you're young, but trust me, as a young unk, my back is already hurting. So you guys should double check your setup if you haven't yet. And if you're wondering why I have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of these Johns, is because I accidentally ordered too much on Amazon by accident. Later, I'm gonna put these in my roommate's rooms to get the reaction, just for fun. You know, I was actually kind of surprised to see Ninja taking ergonomics and comfort so seriously. He even dedicated a page to making gaming exercises. And he said, the truth is that competitive gaming is a physically demanding activity. Now, that might be a bit confusing to you. I mean, 5 years ago, Pyro said the same thing, kind of dunking on Ninja for mentioning that gaming was physically demanding. But, you know, I actually genuinely want to talk about that. It kind of is. A ton of pro players encounter wrist issues that literally derail their careers, and they needed professional help. From Benji Fishy, my friend BTMC, and even myself. I had wrist problems that derailed my OSU career, and stretching saved it. You gotta take care of yourself. So let's go over the exercises. Oh, Oy. Oh, it's creaking, bro.
As we get fit, it's a perfect time to introduce the sponsor for today's video, Girls Frontline 2 Exilium, a brand new 3D strategy RPG that's available on both mobile and PC. So you can even play on the run.
Now, nowhere in Ninja's book does he talk about how to get good at pulling girls, but luckily GFL2 has it handled for me.
Wait, I think I just pulled Springfield. Wait, isn't she hard to get? Dude, I even got her weapon too.
If Springfield wasn't your type, there's also Perry and Faye, and they're offering her for free along with 40 pulls as part of an event. While Ninja dedicated his book to his wife, I decided to dedicate it to my team. I loved how each girl had their own huge personality and even had some sick moves.
Oh. Dude, she ate that whole cookie. Oh, each of them has a pose. Pondering.
But in the end, with the summer heating up and Ninja's advice of committing to whatever you do, why not commit to a brunette holding a sniper rifle?
GFL2 is a nice turn-based game that you should add to your arsenal, especially because all those skins you just saw are coming back to the game with a discount voucher. So go check it out in the link in the description. I believe this section is about mechanics. Yes, learn what type of aim you need. While aim might seem as simple as point and shoot, there are different types of aim and you need to understand which one is appropriate for what circumstances. Good shit, Ninja. Now, this book was written before aim trainers and 30-page write-ups on aim were mainstream, so huge props to Tyler for making the distinction between the different types of aim. However, it's not perfect though because he dedicates too much time talking about flicking, even though there's a lot of other stuff like timing, micro-adjusting, etc. And to add on to that, he has this weird method of finding your sense. He writes, "The best piece of advice I can give you about your mouse sensitivity is to start low and then go high. Then keep playing the game until you die during a fight because your sens was too low. Repeat this until you're no longer losing fights because of your sensitivity settings." I wanted to give it a try, so I hopped on some games with low sens and gradually bumped it up as I died. But the thing is, past a certain point, you can't really tell if your sens is the reason you lost. Like, knowing you guys, it's just too easy to overthink like this, so if you're interested in finding your sensitivity, I do have a video that does the thinking for you. It's really random that during like this whole section, there's one page that he dedicates to common gaming myths busted. And then he writes, "The more you get into gaming, the more you're going to be called upon to talk about, explain, or straight up defend your hobby." You know, I really fuck with that line though, because as someone who does gaming full time, I've had a ton of my friends and family, trigger warning, tell me to get a real job. But like, I genuinely want to say, all of my gaming credentials has led me to actually apply for jobs before, and I got them because of my experience making videos or playing games. I actually got to talk about it in my interview, so it's not all too bad, just like Ninja says here. Gaming isn't necessarily bad for school unless like you're really addicted, but there's this section called social isolation that I kind of disagree with. He basically says that video games doesn't necessarily make people antisocial. Like, I don't want to nitpick just to nitpick, because most of my friends right now are people I've met from gaming. But before that, when I was in high school, it was really my gaming addiction that actually made me kind of antisocial and like isolated. Or maybe that's another thing, but I don't know. Now that's pretty much it for this section. He does talk about settings a bit and developing your game sense. Then page 57. Oh, we are starting off strong here, Ninja. Big bold letters. So you want to be a professional gamer? Then get ready to work for it. Boom! I like that start. And this guy starts off with a banger philosophical question. This might sound like a silly question, but it's worth asking yourself why you want to be great at games. Because ultimately, there aren't right or wrong answers here. I think everyone should be free to play games for whatever reason they want. But when it comes to competitive gaming, some reasons for improving are better than others. His writing cannot be this fire. Tyler fucking Blevins. So proud of you, man. Like, it is so important to game intentionally if you plan to get better. Like, what is this really for? Sometimes you lose sight of your goal and you just start autopiloting games on Valorant and start queuing for 10 hours. But that's really important to me. Like, genuinely, this guy's writing cannot be this fire. Ninja says, just like dribbling in basketball or soccer, there are some gaming skills that are given in a great player, so you need to practice these building blocks till they're basically second nature to you. Do you think LeBron James thinks about dribbling when he's on the court? And he mentioned my GOAT. You really can't fuck this up now. He even mentioned my GOAT LeBron James. Like, his writing cannot get more fire than this. Improve mouse skills with Osu. Motherfucker, man. You know what? Aside from him calling the music obnoxious, I'm not even gonna be that mad at this. A lot of people thought that Osu improved your aim in 2019, and to be honest, I did too. I also talked about this topic in another video, but basically Osu is a 2D game, and 2D aim does not convert to 3D aim, so most competitive shooters. However, I actually am going to use Osu to back up one of Mr. Blevins' points right here. So he actually talks about isolating skills to improve in games, which I heavily agree with, and I feel like Osu proved this theory to be true the easiest. If you've watched me play Osu, you would know that speed was my worst skill. But after I took a few months specifically to target my speed, I got a lot better. These are 2 replays taken 4 months apart. Whoa, Kariyu, you worked on a skill and it got better? Duh. Look, I know it's common sense, but the point is, sometimes when we're playing games and we want to improve, we don't actually take the time to isolate our skills. We just keep queuing. So remember, if you want to get good at any game, pick apart your gameplay and your replays and isolate one skill just so you can focus on it. Definitely agree with Ninja on this one. Number 81. Stay motivated. Never stop reminding yourself why you want to improve. Plot your progress. Save your best games. Look at them when you're discouraged. Remember the compliments you get. How I stay hungry. I know I'm not going to be the best at what I do forever, and I'm always the first to admit when someone is better than me. No, I don't think so. This section was a roller coaster, but I do have to give it to Ninja. If I was 10 years old reading this, I would treat this like the Bible. There are some pretty good tips for improvement here though, so not bad. Ninja mostly talks about communicating and being a good teammate for like 10 pages. I'm not really going to go over that though, because it's just common sense, but Valorant players, it might be worth a read. He also talks about some tactics like team firing an enemy at the same time, which is really useful in battle royales, but I actually have my own tip for this one. Instead of saying 3, 2, 1, shoot when you're team firing, which takes 3 seconds by the way, just have one person say ping and the other person say pong. That way it can look as smooth as this. Alright, ping, 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 pong. Nice! Why should you stream? Meet people. True. 90% of my friends are people that I have met through streaming. Not lying. Make a little money. Ninja, also true. Ninja says even if you do everything right, you might not ever make enough to be a full-time streamer. What's a lot more likely is that you'll get $1 here and there from a generous viewer, and you take pleasure in knowing you've given them something that's worth it to them. Now, I have been streaming for like 6 years or so. I make like anywhere from 200 a month to less than 1,000 in this current year. Now, it was more expensive back then, like during COVID, but even then, I think I was still making like under the minimum wage of workers in America. And that's not to say like, oh, boo-hoo, woe is me. I'm sitting at my home playing video games and I'm so unfortunate to not make money. No, I'm just saying like people might have an overestimate on how much streamers actually make. If I were to work minimum wage in California, I would make around $2,868 per month. And most of my streaming months are less than that. So it's not just streaming I get my revenue from, obviously, but that just goes to show like you have to be a pretty successful streamer to be able to earn somewhat of a full-time wage. Ninja actually has a really cool section here. He says, what if you don't know how to stream? One of my favorite lines from this section is where he says, everyone is going to tell you to be yourself. And that's true, but you have to be yourself more than usual. Smile a little bigger, be a little louder, and wave your arms a little wider. Now, if you don't understand what that means, it's kind of just being a more expressive part of you. Being able to keep talking until it's a habit is very hard sometimes. Like, even as a 50 to 70 viewer Andy, sometimes my chat is completely empty, and you got people saying shit like, oh, washed. So streaming really is a skill that you have to train over time, you know. And for the record, I actually think this is pretty good advice. So I internalized Ninja's advice in my next stream, and honestly, I felt like I was doing a better job on air than usual. Which brings us to our next point. Socialize with your audience. In one study, researchers found that a majority of viewers tune into Twitch not to be entertained or get better, but just for the feeling of being social. Now, Ninja,
Which fucking study are you talking about? Anyways, he writes, say hello to as many of your viewers as you can and greet them by name, especially if they're a subscriber or donate to your channel. Damn, that low-key makes me feel like a gold digger, but like, imagine someone donated me $500 and I just treated them the exact same. Hell no, bro. I'm treating them like I'm a flight attendant on a business class flight. I'm giving them a full pedicure and I'm giving them a full massage. Also, he's kind of right about the going on Twitch to socialize thing. Sometimes I wake up at 5 a.m., like no one's on, I'll just go on Twitch. I'll just like watch a streamer so I can feel less alone. Anyways, by now, I think we all owe Ninja an apology. This book is genuinely a good read, and if you do anything gaming related, it's genuinely a good read. Which is why I know Ninja's final words in this book will be a banger. Everyone's a gamer. Not everyone plays the same games, and not everyone plays the same way. But if you're looking for an art form that just about everyone has been involved in one way or another, games really do rank up there with film and music. I really believe that there's no right way to be a gamer, and while it's tempting to think that competitive gamers like me are the only real gamers out there, competition is only one way out of many to engage with games. So make gaming a tool to connect with other people rather than splitting the world into gamers and non-gamers. Because if there's one thing that's true about everyone on Earth, it's that we love to play. Deadass. Like, gaming changed my life, man. If you value gaming as a hobby to your life, I honestly think that this $20 book is not even a bad read. It gives you context on the streaming part of it, the content side of it. It also gives you some actionable items if you want to pursue improving at video games. And you get like 15 photos of Tyler Ninja Blevins. But okay, but in all seriousness, the book is actually good. I don't think that there's many books on gaming. And honestly, with all like the brain rot in the internet, I appreciated this book for talking about gaming as it is. I would say most of the advice in this book is followable and pretty good, except for the mechanic stuff. It's not that great, but like this book has longevity. Like there's a legacy to this, genuinely. And I encourage someone to write a better book on gaming because I think someone can still do a better job. But Ninja walked so that we could run, guys. Think about it. Ninja changed streaming forever so we can exist. Dude, Ninja is so important, man. Ed, find your favorite line from this book.
My favorite line on this book? Listen, dude, I've had this book for like ever since he first released it, which was like 4 years ago or something like that. This right here. Improve mouse skills with Osu. Now, I'll be honest, I have no idea if the Ninja actually plays Osu. There's no fucking way, right? Like, no actual way. But like, dude, this was absolute peak. What's the best way to improve mouse accuracy? So there's a couple of tools out there that you can use to accelerate the process. A lot of professional gamers use the free rhythm game Osu to train and improve with their mouse accuracy, or just to warm up before tournaments. It's basically Dance Dance Revolution for your mouse hand. The music might be obnoxious, and the colors are admittedly pretty annoying, but it'll train you to click accurately and get your hand motion and mouse clicks in time with each other. It starts easy, but its higher difficulty settings will test just how precise your mouse work can be. So ignore everything bad that Ninja said about Osu. He basically endorsed the game as the best aim trainer of all time, which means, Ivan, can you compete against that? You made a video saying that Osu doesn't improve your aim, but Ninja would like to say otherwise. Hopefully Ninja actually plays the game.
Ninja's fucking wrong. Can you pick your favorite quote from this book?
Don't risk burnout. There's a limit to how much practice pays off. That's true. Don't overpractice, guys. Know when to stop and take breaks and rest.